In this video, I'm going to show you how to play the first 3 notes that you're going to learn on the clarinet. So before you learn these notes, you should already know how to put the clarinet together, and you should know how to make a clarinet embouchure. So you should know what to do with your lips, your mouth, your breathing to make a basic sound on the clarinet mouthpiece. And you can practice doing that just on this part of the clarinet, on the mouthpiece and barrel. So once you can do that, you're ready to learn your first notes. So first of all, let's make sure we've got good posture. So you can stand or you can sit, but make sure you're nice and straight. And that's going to make things easier for you. You're holding your clarinet out nice and straight in front of you. So you want to be about this kind of angle, so it shouldn't be way out like that. It shouldn't be way down like this. It should be somewhere in the middle. Okay, and it shouldn't be out to the side either. So make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, so for our first note is going to be E. And to play E, we need our first 2 fingers, or first finger and our thumb on our left hand. Our thumb is going to cover the hole at the back of the clarinet, and our first finger will cover the first hole on the front of the clarinet. Now you need to make sure that you're covering the full hole so you don't let any air escape. Okay, and once you've got your fingers in place for that, just remember everything that you learned when you learned what to do to make the clarinet embouchure. So, top teeth gently resting on top of the mouthpiece, bottom lip rolled over your bottom teeth, lips into a tight kind of smile shape, something like that, and take a nice big deep breath, and then blow lots of air out through the clarinet. So that should sound something like this. Okay, so if it didn't sound like that first time, don't worry. There's lots of things you have to remember to do to make the notes sound properly. So let's go through some of the things that you have to remember. You have to make sure that you're covering the full holes with your fingers. So if you're only covering half the hole, or even if you're covering most of the hole but there's a little space there, the note's not going to work properly. So you need to make sure you're covering the full hole, you're not letting any air escape, with your thumb at the back and your finger at the front. The second thing to make sure you're doing is make sure you're not accidentally pressing any other keys. So you've got these keys here at the side, which we're not going to use. We're not using at the moment. We haven't learned how to use those yet, so we don't want to press them. And it's really easy to press these accidentally with the side of your finger. So make sure you're not doing that. And if you hold the clarinet nice and straight with your fingers nice and a nice kind of straight, gently curved position like that, that's going to make it easier to not accidentally press those keys. So you've got these ones which are easy to press accidentally, and these ones as well at the side, they're easy to accidentally press with this hand. Okay, so what else do you have to make sure? You have to make sure that you're making the clarinet embouchure properly. So teeth gently resting on top, bottom lip rolled over the bottom teeth, and you have to watch as well that you're not putting the mouthpiece too far into your mouth or not far enough into your mouth. So it has to be kind of, your top teeth should be about there. You can experiment with pushing it in a little bit more or taking it out a little bit more if you're not getting a sound. Okay, what else? We have to make sure we're using enough air. So a lot of the time people don't realise how much air you need to make a sound on the clarinet when they first learn clarinet. And it takes a lot of air, so you're taking a nice big deep breath and then pushing lots of air through the clarinet. Okay, and the last thing to check is make sure that you've got everything put together properly. Make sure you've assembled the clarinet properly. All the pieces are lined up, especially the reed and mouthpiece, because this is an important part of the clarinet, a really important part because it's where the sound comes from. So you need to make sure that's really lined up exactly. So the reed shouldn't be sticking out, and it shouldn't be too far down, and it shouldn't be over to the side. Make sure it's exactly lined up. Okay, so make sure you're covering the full holes. Make sure you're not pressing any other keys that you shouldn't be pressing. Make sure you're making a good embouchure, the mouthpiece in the right place. Make sure you're using enough air, and make sure your clarinet is put together properly. So those are the things to check. Okay, so once we've got a good sound on E, we can move on to the next note, which is D. And to play D, we just keep the two fingers down, or your finger and your thumb, that you used for E, and you add in one more finger. So you're adding in the next finger on your left hand, and it's going to cover the next hole on the front of the clarinet. And that's going to sound like this. So what you need to check is you need to make sure that you've got a different sound for D and E, so they should be two different sounds. E should sound something like this, and D. So if you can't hear a difference between the two notes, it means you're probably not doing something correctly. So you can go through the list again of things that you should check and make sure you're doing all those things properly. Then you can just practice moving between those two notes. So play a nice long E and then a nice long D. Try and make a nice big, smooth, steady sound. Okay, and once you've got those two notes sounding properly, you can move on to the next note, which is C. So to play C, you keep all the fingers that you've got down for D, so thumb and two fingers, then you add in your next finger on your left hand, which is going to cover the next hole down in front of the clarinet. And C will sound like this. Okay, so you can do the same thing, just practice moving between the three notes that you've learned now, and making sure that you've got a different sound for the three notes. So again, this is E. Okay, and if your C is maybe sounding the same as your D, or you're not getting the C to sound at all, if that's happening, you can just go through the list of things that you need to check. So check you're covering the full holes, check you're not pressing any other keys, check you've got a good embouchure, check you're using enough air, and check that the clarinet is all put together properly. Okay, and once you've learned those three notes, you have enough notes to start learning some simple songs.